Police Chief Jim Fitzpatrick and District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett to discuss mutual concerns about violent crime and drug trafficking. The Chief and the DA each highlighted the heroin and fentanyl trade in Lawrence as being a top priority for them and for the safety of their communities. I gave each of them my word that the federal government would stand with them and bring all of our resources to bear in order to help. Today, I believe we have fulfilled that promise. Having said that, we're far from done. We will remain vigilant and a continued presence in Lawrence and surrounding cities and towns. Fentanyl and heroin are wreaking havoc in our communities, touching nearly every walk of life. We in law enforcement will continue to do everything in our power to disrupt the flow of drugs into our communities. This investigation involved an extraordinary level of cooperation by a number of agencies. It was led by the DEA's Cross-Border Initiative Task Force, which includes the Lawrence, Wilmington, and Andover police departments, as well as the Massachusetts State Police. Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, played an important role, as did ATF. In fact, this morning's operation involved over 200 local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. Each played a critical role in bringing this investigation to fruition today, and I want to thank them for their commitment and their cooperation. I also want to acknowledge Assistant United States Attorney Susan Winkler for her outstanding work in prosecuting this case. She has been part of the investigation from the outset and now faces the enormous task of bringing these defendants to justice. I especially want to acknowledge and thank Essex County District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett and his staff, represented today by First Assistant Jack Dawley. Their office charged 18 defendants with drug offenses during the course of this investigation, and they will handle those prosecutions. I'd now like to introduce Mike Ferguson, Special Agent in charge of the DEA, and later we'll have an opportunity to answer your questions.
Good morning. I'd like to thank Acting United States Attorney Weinreb for his leadership and partnership. I'd also like to thank my law enforcement partners that stand with me here today from the Massachusetts State Police, the Lowell Police Department, the Lawrence Police Department, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Essex County District Attorney's Office. So what do these numbers on this chart mean? Every day in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, 6 of our neighbors, co-workers, friends, and loved ones are dying from a fentanyl or heroin overdose. They're dying from this insidious disease. According to the Massachusetts Department of Health, this equates to an estimated 2,069 opioid-related deaths for 2016. But even more alarming is that 69% of those deaths has a positive toxicology screen result for fentanyl. This is not a problem unique to Massachusetts. It's a problem all across this great country. 91 of our neighbors, friends, loved ones, co-workers across the country are dying from a heroin or fentanyl overdose death. And increasingly, it's a fentanyl death. Far too many more of our neighbors, friends, co-workers, and loved ones are suffering from fentanyl and heroin and are in a substance use and are in recovery or a treatment program, battling this disease on a daily basis. But those arrested this morning need to be held accountable for their actions because they have chosen to distribute this poison and profit from the misery that they spread. Over the past year, the DEA and its federal, state, and local partners have been investigating what we believe to be one of the largest fentanyl distribution networks in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This organization was primarily dealing fentanyl and was responsible for distributing fentanyl to hundreds of customers and street-level dealers. With the arrest of 34 members today, in the greater Lawrence and Merrimack Valley area, in the seizure of approximately 2.5 kilograms of fentanyl, 6 guns, and previously 18 arrests in the state system with our partners at the Essex County District Attorney's Office. This will all make a difference in the neighborhoods of Lawrence and in the surrounding Merrimack Valley cities and towns, as well as in New Hampshire and Maine. The drug traffickers arrested today have chosen to distribute this poison for profit. They have no regard for the safety and well-being of those they sell and distribute fentanyl to. DEA and our local, state, and federal partners are addressing the threat of fentanyl and heroin both internationally and domestically. We prioritize our resources by identifying and investigating, disrupting, and dismantling these very organized drug distribution networks. If anything can be likened to a weapon of mass destruction in what it does to a community, it's fentanyl. A synthetic opioid 100 times more potent than morphine, 50 times more potent than heroin. It can kill you if you inject it in your arm, breathe it in the air, or touch it with your skin. A sweetener packet that you put in a cup of coffee contains. Enforcement is important because every time law enforcement takes fentanyl and heroin off the streets, lives are saved. Every time law enforcement takes fentanyl and heroin off the streets, it decreases the availability and potential danger of our teens and young adults from ever getting introduced to these deadly drugs. But in order for us to obtain sustained community change, law enforcement must be done in concert with effective education, prevention, treatment, and recovery programs by community organizations, faith-based organizations, and government agencies. But as long as there's a demand, there will be traffickers willing to take a risk in order to make a profit. We must change behaviors, and this is very hard to do. For those fentanyl and heroin traffickers not arrested today in the greater Lawrence and Merrimack Valley area, we have a message for you. Think twice about trying to fill the void left by those arrested today, because our work is not complete. We will hold you responsible as well if you choose to engage in violent crime, drug, and gun activities. The more we do to reduce drug crime, the more we will reduce all violent crime. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Special Agent in Charge, Matt Etrie of Homeland Security Investigations.
Thank you, Mike. And again, my name is Matt Etrie. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations here in New England. I want to thank the Acting United States Attorney, William Weinreb, and DEA Special Agent in Charge, Mike Ferguson, for inviting us here today and to participate in this event. I want to also congratulate the agents, troopers, and officers that put themselves in harm's way to carry out the enforcement actions highlighted today. This type of operation involving such a volatile and deadly substance as fentanyl significantly increases the personal risk to our enforcement personnel while they're carrying out their search and arrest activities. I want to thank them for their efforts, for the success we've accomplished in crippling and dismantling a drug trafficking organization that has brought nothing but serious harm to our communities here in New England. Among those arrested today were 5 individuals who were illegally present in the United States, 5 additional individuals who had previously been deported, and 2 additional illegal aliens who were in possession of firearms. These are individuals who are illegally present in the U.S. and chose to actively engage in selling and moving dangerous narcotics throughout our region. Several other foreign nationals who were granted permanent residency here in the U.S. were arrested for narcotics violations.